So, since we're talking about crooked cops and we're going to move on to police unions, I mean, do they actually back the blue, or is just politics as usual from the pro-COVID party? Let's take a look. AP article from today. This is not from 38 minutes ago. This is from several minutes before that. Cities, police unions clash as vaccine mandates take effect. Police departments around the U.S. that are requiring officers to get vaccinated against COVID-19 are running up against pockets of resistance that some fear could leave law enforcement short-handed and undermine public safety. Police unions and officers are pushing back by filing lawsuits to block the mandates. We'll discuss that. In Chicago, the head of the police union called on members to defy the city's Friday deadline for reporting their COVID-19 vaccination status. Okay, so we're just not even going to discuss that. So a little less of I'm just not getting the vaccine, but that's my HIPAA. That's my HIPAA. Oh, we've heard this. The standoffs are playing out at a time when many police departments already are dealing with surging homicide rates and staff shortages unrelated to the vaccine. Should I repeat that again for the people in the back? Staff shortages unrelated to the vaccine. Okay. Chicago's mayor on Friday filed a complaint in court against the leader of the local fraternal order police, accusing him of engaging in supporting and encouraging work stoppage or strike by saying the city's more than 12,000 uniformed police officers should just ignore federal order. Or federal order at this point, municipal order, right? Should ignore the order to report their vaccination status. On Thursday, Mayor Lori Lightfoot said officers would not be sent home if they showed up to work on Friday and refused to provide their information. Instead, she said they would be put on unpaid leave after the weekend because confirming compliance would take a few days. Refusing to provide the information, Lightfoot said, would constitute an act of insubordination. Because if you're not willing to follow departmental policy, you're not willing to follow departmental policy. Like, you don't need to be a cop if you can't follow police protocols. And no matter if you like it, if you agree with it, if it's against your politics, if it's against your religion, go work at the freaking bowling alley, along with the rest of those jackwagons, right? It's the real thing. Like, this is actually a great way to weed out bad cops. Doesn't matter how many of them. This problem is solving itself. This is a godsend to police reform activists, not defund the police, but don't let the police shoot people and get away with it. Kind of like that thing in Kenosha there. Kind of like that. This was good for avoiding shit like that from happening in the communities, right? Because that's probably not so great. So John Catanzara, president of the FOP local in Chicago, Fraternal Order of Police in Chicago, said about half of his members have not been vaccinated and called a mandate requiring inoculation absolutely wrong. Good thing that doesn't matter what you think. They are willing to go into a no-pay status at midnight tonight and get sent home. Well, good riddance. He said, suggesting during an appearance on Fox News that the city could not afford to lose police officers. No, it cannot afford to have bad cops who don't follow police procedures, is what it can't afford. Everybody wants to use Chicago as like the focal point of liberal politics gone wrong because of the lack of the gun control in Chicago, and it's the murder rate's insane. Just folks just forget that in good old South Bend, Indiana, which, right there, that's, it's Indiana. So they do not have the same kind of laws that they have in Chicago, and that a very large portion of the illegal firearms that end up in Chicago come from Indiana, but no need to worry about that. Now, what the city of Chicago cannot afford is bad cops, crooked cops, people out there, more criminals walking the streets, and this time with a badge and a gun, licensed. Need I continue? Lost my place. The reality is we have a profession nobody else wants to do right now. They cannot get anybody to go into this police academy, he said. In Los Angeles County, Sheriff Alex Villanueva said he won't force his 18,000 employees to be vaccinated despite a county mandate. I don't want to be in a position to lose 5-10% of my workforce overnight, he said last week. Los Angeles is another one of those where you don't need crooked cops. If you're not willing to follow police protocol, you do not need to be a cop. Just quit your job. Why are you waiting? Quit. You should have quit this morning. Should have woke up this morning, had a hot pocket, said goodbyes, said your goodbyes to your last donut, and then went and got a job at a local gas station with less than 100 employees, because that's what you deserve. Hundreds of police officers in San Diego said they would consider quitting instead of complying with a vaccination mandate. Resistance is bubbling up, even though first responders have been hit hard by COVID-19. More than 460 law enforcement officers have died from the virus, according to Officer Down memorial page. I was actually looking at that. It's gone. I believe it's gone up. We'll take a look at that here in just a second. According to Officer Down memorial page, 460 officers have died from the virus. 460. Okay, that's like a lot. Disputes compared to other officer deaths, and we'll get to that here in just a second. Despite other governments and business vaccine requirements have spilled over into a variety of workplaces, including one of the nation's premier nuclear weapons laboratories and the NBA, workers at Los Alamos National Laboratory, the birthplace of the atomic bomb, faced a deadline on Friday to get vaccinated or risk being fired. A New Mexico judge denied a last-minute request by dozens of scientists and others to block the mandate. Scientists who don't believe in science. Again, you people are in the wrong field. Just there for a paycheck. You're in the wrong field. That's just how it goes. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. Just don't, you've been lying to your employers this entire time. It's time to be honest with yourself. In the NBA, the Brooklyn Nets are not allowing star Kyrie Irving to practice or play until he's vaccinated. The number of Americans getting vaccinated has steadily increased over the past 3 months as boosters have become available. Mandates have taken effect. The number of shots administered per day has topped 840,000 on average. No national statistics show the vaccination rate for America's first responders, but individual police and fire departments across the country have reported figures far below the national rate of 77% for adults who've had at least one dose. Police departments in Los Angeles, San Francisco, Denver are among those under vaccine mandates or facing one. New York's mayor has said he's looking at the idea despite opposition from the city's largest police union. The union, representing some 1,000 Seattle police personnel, argues that the matter should be the subject of labor negotiations. Boy, we know how that's going to go, don't we? They'll be protesting at a Walmart somewhere, all 7 of them. But I digress. Union President Mike Solon has suggested that the mandate could worsen staffing shortages, which in turn could risk public safety. Well, it sounds like they're already a risk to public safety in general. I mean, if they're not willing to get vaccinated, what makes you think they're not willing to be just kneeling on people's necks until they're, all good and cold and dead and whatnot? Just saying. This was police not following police protocol was a problem before COVID-19. So stop it. Get out. Quit today, right now. If you're a cop and you're seeing this and you're not vaccinated and you're not going to get vaccinated, I want to see you at, small communities, they don't really have, I don't know how many people are working at Casey's. You can probably get a job there, right? Do they have 100 employees? I'm not even sure. Go start a business. Take your pension money, and Just go trade stocks or something. I don't know. Like, do anything else. Go farm. You know, that's why you live here in the Ozarks anyway, right? Just get out there and go grow turnips, you bunch of sissies. The department has more than 300 officers in the past year and a half, anticipates another mass exodus in the coming weeks. Solon said nearly 300 officers in Seattle had either not turned in the paperwork showing they were vaccinated or were seeking an exemption. The mayor's office said earlier this week. In recent weeks, judges have rejected attempts by a group of Oregon State Police troopers and Denver police officers to block mask mandates. And thank God for that. Seriously, thank God for that. You know, here's the thing. Do police unions actually back the blue, or is this, as I said, just politics as usual from the pro-COVID party? Well, let's take a look. Out of the police officers that have died, we're looking at, I believe it's now increased, because the last time I had looked at the memorial page I referenced, it was around 54.9%. 54.9%. Listen to me. If you listen to nothing else in this show or this clip, 54.9%, more than 54.9% of all law enforcement deaths this year. 62% of all law enforcement deaths last year in 2020 are from COVID-19. Over half the people, over half the cops, law enforcement period, over half of them that have died in the last 2 years have died because of COVID-19. Okay. Over half. More than half. That's twice as many cops dead today than there would have been in the last 2 years because of COVID-19. So forget what you think about riots. Forget what you think about, Antifa. Forget what you think about BLM. Hell, forget what you think about the Proud Boys in January 6th, if you will. There are more than twice as many cops dead this year alone. Far more than twice as many cops dead last year alone because of COVID. So, back the blue? Are you kidding me? Like, it seems to me like these police unions who are actually, in effect, encouraging more dead officers is what it sounds like. If we look at the statistics, this kind of action is encouraging not only more dead cops, but also encouraging bad policing. It's encouraging the police to not follow police protocols. I mean, if they aren't willing to follow their own rules when it comes to getting a freaking shot on something that, statistically speaking, is not going to actually do really anything from them except for keeping their dumbasses dying from whenever they get COVID-19, because they're out there in the public, amongst the public. Every time there's a traffic stop, they're out there with the public. It's very much a thing. I don't know what's so hard to understand about this. It should not be this difficult. It really shouldn't. You wouldn't think. But I guess some folks don't think. But yeah, so where are we at? Let's continue just a little bit here. This will be our last one on cops doing stupid shit. Chicago mayor takes police union head to court over vaccines. Thank God there's a voice of reason in this group. I'm telling you, waiting for this for a couple of days now. It says 2 hours ago, but again, this is breaking news from today. It's definitely more than 2 hours ago. Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot said Friday that she took her fight with the head of the city's police officers union to court. arguing that his call for officers to ignore the court to report their COVID-19 vaccination status was illegal. The mayor said in a statement that the city's law department filed a complaint in Cook County Circuit Court for injunctive relief against Fraternal Order Police President John Catanzara, this hero, whom she accused of engaging in and encouraging work stoppage or strike. It sounds like he's also engaging in and supporting the attempt on good cops to be good cops, and certainly their lives and the lives of citizens in the community. Stop it. Lightfoot has asked the court to prohibit the union and its officers from engaging in any concerted refusal to submit vaccination status information to the city's portal. She also asked it to order Catanzara to stop urging members to refuse to provide their vaccination status information and to issue a retraction and disavowal of his directives to FOP members that they refuse to submit vaccination status information. Lightfoot said that by urging union members to not report their COVID-19 by Friday's deadline, Catanzara put the public in danger. Well, it does. I mean, you're telling cops you don't have to follow the rules. You can do whatever, you can do whatever you want to. Really, I mean, what's going to happen to you? Don't worry, the police union's got you. Pretty much that's been the problem with police reform activists in general, is that their argument has been that cops do whatever the hell they want to, and the union's going to back them no matter what. This is living proof. This is like the most terrifying thing should be to everyone, specifically the party of law and order. You can't exactly be law and order if you got cops who are willing to break the law because of stupidity, sheer, absolute freaking stupidity. By doing so, and by predicting that 50% or more officers will violate their oaths and not report for duty, Catanzara is encouraging an unlawful strike and work stoppage, which carries the potential to undermine public safety and expose our residents to irreparable harm, particularly during an ongoing pandemic, she wrote in the court filing. Catanzara has maintained that the officers have a legal right to follow his request. Legal right to follow his request to show up for work and be sent home for refusing to fill out the city's COVID-19 portal. They have a legal right to get fired and go do something else. This is not a job action, not a call for a strike, none of that illegal stuff that I'm sure the city is going to make it out to be, he said in a video posted Tuesday. What are you talking about, dude? They said it's a police. Wow, not any of that illegal stuff. Are you kidding me? Like you're breaking procedure. That is illegal. If you just go around shooting people for no reason, that's illegal. That's also against, you have rules for this. Yeah, these people definitely do not need to be having a badge and a gun, and it doesn't have anything to do with COVID-19. How can folks like this be trusted to assess a situation based on facts? That in itself disqualifies these individuals for being police officers in general. If they're not able to discern fact from fiction, you don't need to be a cop. You don't need to be one. That shit's dangerous for the community. Stop it. Wow. Then on Friday, the FOP filed its own complaint seeking a temporary restraining order to compel the city to go into arbitration over the mandate. They can take us to court all they want, he said in a video posted to the union's website, along with a copy of the complaint. We already are filing paperwork to dismiss that silly motion. In a video posted Thursday, he told union members that if a superior orders them to submit their vaccination status to the portal, they should refuse, because he said it would be an improper and illegal order. He also called on members to try to record any attempts to force them to comply with the city's order on their body cameras. Jesus Christ. Yeah, be sure and do that. Please record it on your body camera. Please get evidence of that so they can send you home for, without having to work too hard for it, right? On Thursday afternoon, Lightfoot and top police officials tried to assuage public concern that the department would be severely understaffed this weekend, saying officers would not be sent home if they showed up for work Friday and refused to go onto the portal and provide the vaccination status. Lightfoot said officers who do refuse to provide the information will be placed on unpaid leave, but that it wouldn't happen until after the weekend because confirming compliance would take a few days because apparently they need to update their system also. Don't be getting any good ideas from Governor Mikey P. Jesus Christ. She did make it clear, though, that there would be consequences for refusing to provide the information, which Lightfoot said would constitute an act of insubordination. First, Deputy Eric Carter said that if officers were expected to meet Friday's deadline, unless they had an approved medical or religious exemption, those who don't comply could face discipline as severe as being fired. He also said that under the city's rules, those who aren't vaccinated by Friday must get tested twice per week on their own time. Yeah. And at their own expense. On the fence on that one. I mean, they shouldn't be paid for getting tested. That's your problem. That's a you issue. Whether or not they should have to pay for it themselves, well, I don't know. In the case of police officers, they are government employees. Maybe they should be paying for that shit themselves. I'm just saying, like, the factories and whatnot, I get it. It's a different story. But cops, when you have freaky, wacky, unions like this to protect you no matter what kind of dumb shit you're up to, maybe the officers should be paying for that on their own. That's not for me to decide. I'm on the fence on that one, but I can see both sides there. Must get tested twice a week in their own time, at their own expense, until the end of the year when they would be required to be vaccinated. Well, you got to figure it out. Oh, that's the end there. All right. Well, before we see any more sexy girls on the beach, let's just jump back from that. So with that, I mean, again, more officers died from COVID last year than anything else. More officers died from COVID this year than anything else. In fact, twice as many officers, just as many plus some officers died this year from COVID than anything else. Just as many officers died last year just from COVID than anything else. Are police unions advocating for dead cops? Because that's what it looks like on paper, at least. Again, the numbers speak for themselves. Last year and this year, COVID was the number one cause of police death in the United States. And, as my dude Bo from the Fifth Column put it, it led to 145 flags being in the ground or handed to somebody's family. So, where's your patriotism at, bro? That's a lot to think about. But listen, we're going to take a short break and we'll jump right back into it.